Hey guys, what's going on? So UFC 202 is coming up this Saturday. It's going to be Conor McGregor versus Nate Diaz 2. This is a very intriguing matchup. Conor's first loss came at the hands of Nate Diaz in the first fight they had. So McGregor is looking for vengeance. Okay, so first I wanted to talk about Conor's style. Conor has very exciting and incredibly unorthodox striking. He's a very talented striker. In fact, he strikes from various different angles and his kicks are in motion. It's very fluid. Now, not only that, but his movement training is unique. His striking is one of the best in the game today, which you can see in his matchup against Jose Aldo. McGregor only took 13 seconds to knock Aldo out. Now, Aldo was dethroned in only 13 seconds at the hands of McGregor. McGregor became the new UFC featherweight champion of the world, and that was a very shocking outcome. Now, Aldo is debatably one of the greatest of all time. He was undefeated for over a decade. He is also an incredible striker. Now, there are talks about who is the GOAT, the greatest of all time. It is debatable because you can throw in a few other names. That is GSP, Anderson Silva, Fedor, and John Jones. Now, John Jones is still very young and he still has lots of talent and potential, despite the fact that he's been caught up in so much trouble with personal issues, the authority, and whatnot. I think that if he can put himself together, he can make a huge comeback and continue his dominance and reign. Now, McGregor walked the walk, he talked the talk, he backed up everything he has said up until he met Nate Diaz. McGregor's mistake was underestimating Nate. McGregor jumped up in weight, especially jumping up two weight classes. Now that is a very difficult feat. Now, McGregor jumped up in weight in such a short amount of time, though yes, being at welterweight is closer to his walk around weight. McGregor did not give enough time to get accustomed to fighting at that weight. I think McGregor's more comfortable weight in fighting is at featherweight, and by comfortable, I mean the weight class that he's fought in during a majority of his career. Jumping up two weight classes and fighting at welterweight, McGregor does not know how to utilize his power output efficiently, and he basically fatigued faster than he normally would compared to featherweight. Now, McGregor should have fought, in my opinion, he should have fought a lower ranked fighter and moved up gradually instead of fighting a top ranked fighter, Nate, which is easy to see that McGregor underestimated Nate. McGregor should have gotten comfortable at welterweight by training more frequently at that weight and fighting a lower ranked fighter before being put against Nate. Not to take away the fact that, yes, Nate did come in this fight in a very short notice and apparently without a training camp. Surprisingly, Nate was still in very good shape. So, Nate is no slouch. He's fought some of the best in the business and has been high ranked for a very long time. Not only that, but Nate trains with some of the best as well. His boxing is phenomenal, especially his 1-2 strikes, his common go-to techniques. He trains with top boxer Andre Ward, top kickboxer Joe Schilling, Jake Shields, Gilbert Melendez, you name it. The Nate Diaz and Nick has some of the best hands in the UFC. They can throw a high volume of strikes and conserve the most amount of energy, which allows them to last in the fight longer and prevent from fatiguing too quickly. Also, Nate's superior ground game is one of the best as well. Now, I believe if Conor can strengthen his ground game, this will allow Conor to employ a more complete game, which will give him an advantage against any other fighter he faces. As we can see from the first fight against Nate, Conor was picking Nate apart in the beginning and bloodying Nate's face up until the point where Conor seems to have fatigued because he threw every amount of energy he's got behind those punches and kicks. That's when it all went wrong. Now Nate came back with his jabs. Conor is exhausted and went for a sloppy takedown and ended up getting rear naked choked. Conor does not seem comfortable on the ground and tapped, which gives the vibe that his ground game is still susceptible. This time around, however, I think things would go differently. I think Conor will take this second fight with Nate seriously. He's prepared for this by training with Olympic boxers and Brazilian Jiu Jitsu world champions. I'm going to predict that Conor's going to win this time around via TKO no later than the third round. If Conor can stick to a game plan and not exhaust himself by picking his shots intelligently, he can definitely win this fight, in my opinion. Now, Conor is looking for vengeance, and he has all the skills and potential as a champion. He's definitely looking to make a statement, but first, he needs to avenge the loss to Nate. Now, there you have it. UFC 202, Saturday, August 20th.